Welcome to Behind the Billions, where we analyze the forces shaping money, power, and the future of the world. Imagine a world not so different from our own. Cities gleam, life goes on, but beneath the surface, a silent tension builds. Today, we confront a question that haunts the corridors of power and the minds of strategic thinkers: the possibility of a third world war between 2026 and 2030. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about understanding the immense risk we face. It's about looking at the world with clear eyes. The international stage is fraught with instability. We see it every day in the headlines: trade disputes, territorial claims, and the collapse of long-standing treaties. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a larger geopolitical shift, a global realignment of power. Old alliances are fraying and new, more volatile ones are forming. The guardrails that have maintained a fragile peace for decades are beginning to buckle under the strain. Analysts point to three critical flashpoints, each a tinderbox waiting for a spark. In Eastern Europe, the standoff continues, with troop buildups and military drills becoming the new normal. Every movement is a message, every exercise a threat. In the Middle East, regional rivalries, fueled by external powers, could easily spiral into a much wider conflict, dragging global players into a vortex of violence. And in the Indo-Pacific, the competition over strategic waterways and economic dominance is reaching a fever pitch. A single miscalculation here could have catastrophic consequences for the entire globe. But the battlefields of the future will look nothing like those of the past. The next major conflict will be fought not only with tanks and jets, but with algorithms and data streams. Cyberattacks targeting critical infrastructure power grids, financial systems, communication networks could cripple a nation without a single shot being fired. We're already seeing glimpses of this. State-sponsored hackers are probing defenses, mapping vulnerabilities, and preparing for a conflict that will unfold in the digital realm as much as the physical one. Artificial intelligence is also changing the calculus of war. Autonomous weapons systems, AI-driven intelligence analysis, and algorithmic decision-making are accelerating the pace of combat to speeds beyond human comprehension. This creates an unprecedented danger, the risk of automated escalation, where machines, not leaders, make the final, fateful decisions. So how would it begin? Experts agree it wouldn't start with a grand declaration of war. There would be no formal announcement, no ultimatum delivered by an ambassador. It would likely begin with ambiguity and denial, a mysterious cyber attack that shuts down a stock exchange, an unclaimed drone strike on a key energy facility, a naval incident in a contested sea. Each event would be designed to be deniable, creating confusion and hesitation. World leaders would convene in crisis rooms, staring at flickering screens, trying to piece together a puzzle while the clock ticks down. The pressure to respond, to show strength, would be immense. And in this fog of uncertainty, the potential for a fatal misstep is terrifyingly high. A limited strike is met with a disproportionate retaliation. A regional clash draws in allied powers. The ladder of escalation is climbed rung by rung until there is no turning back. Suddenly, the world finds itself in a place no one wanted to be, but everyone, in their own way, had prepared for. The immediate reality of such a conflict would be a total system shock. Forget what you've seen in movies. The first casualty would be the global economy. The intricate web of supply chains that delivers our food, our medicine, and our technology would shatter overnight. Financial markets would enter a freefall, wiping out trillions in wealth. The flow of energy would be choked off, leading to blackouts and rationing. This isn't just about soldiers on a battlefield. It's about the very fabric of our modern lives unraveling. The interconnectedness that brought us prosperity would become our greatest vulnerability. The world would be plunged into a state of economic siege, with every nation forced to fend for itself. What do the experts really think? We've analyzed reports from leading think tanks, military colleges, and geopolitical strategy firms. The consensus is sobering. While a full-scale global war is not inevitable, the probability is higher now than at any point since the Cold War. They measure the risk not as a certainty but as a confluence of dangerous trends. They'd point to the rise of nationalism, the erosion of diplomatic norms, and the rapid development of disruptive military technologies. These factors create a volatile mix. The experts aren't predicting a date on the calendar. Instead, they are warning that the conditions for a major conflict are falling into place. They stress that the window to de-escalate and rebuild diplomatic channels is closing. The decisions made in the next few years will determine the course of the 21st century. The impact would be felt in every home. It would start with the constant hum of anxiety, watching the news, seeing markets tumble. Prices for everyday goods would skyrocket. Shelves in stores would go bare. The sense of security we take for granted would evaporate. This wouldn't be a distant conflict watched on a screen. It would reshape daily life, forcing families to make impossible choices. The psychological toll of living under the constant threat of escalation would be immense. It would be a prolonged era of tension, a global state of emergency that becomes the new, grim reality. Our entire way of life, our assumptions about the future, would be called into question. The world is at a crossroads. The path to conflict is paved with miscalculation, ambition, and the failure of diplomacy. The dynamics of power are shifting, and with that shift comes profound risk. We stand on the precipice, looking into an uncertain future. The choices made by a handful of leaders in the coming years will have consequences for billions. This is not a distant problem. This is the defining challenge of our time. Understanding these forces is the first step toward navigating the turbulent years ahead. The stakes could not be higher. If you want serious analysis beyond headlines, subscribe to Behind the Billions. This is where the world's biggest shifts are explained.